Hey guys, welcome back to my first, well, not welcome back, but welcome to my first video. I got some insane news to break down. First off, we got Arman versus Charles Oliveira 2. Could be happening. Obviously, there's no date yet, but Arman has expressed his interest multiple times into having a rematch with Charles Oliveira, actually a 5-rounder, saying that he wants to prove that he can finish him this time. But Arman, just a couple hours ago, tweeted out, at Charles Du Bronx, in a 5-rounder makes the most sense. Which, in this situation, I 100% agree. As a huge Charles fan, I would have loved to see Charles get that title shot. But, it is only fair. Arman was a #1 contender. He pulled out. They need to go back to the drawing board. I think a #1 contender fight with the #2 Charles Oliveira makes the most sense for that #1 contender spot. And, this isn't even the first tweet he's let out in the first 24 hours of this whole situation. Michael Chandler tweeted at Arman Tsarukyan, "You don't show up, you don't get a shot. Beat me if you can at Arman Tsarukyan, UFC." Arman replied, "I'm not against it, but fighting someone who can beat you twice sounds way more compelling." Which, he's right. Arman does not need to fight with Michael Chandler right now. I think his best option is Charles Oliveira. And how do I think this fight plays out in a 5-rounder? Super interesting. I think from the Charles that we have seen, you just never know. He gets better every fight, especially after a loss. But from the Charles that we have seen, he had that D1 wrestling against Michael Chandler, which was insanely surprising. He improved a hell of a lot. But will he be able to take someone like Arman Tsarukyan down, where wrestling is his biggest base? Arman, not to diss that knockout that he had against Beneil Dariush, but he's not super known for that knockout power, at least not that I have realized. So, with someone that has wrestling as strong as his, I don't know if Charles is going to be able to do what he did to Michael to Arman. The way I think this fight plays out is, I think if it goes the distance, Arman will win just because of his top pressure and his high pace. And I think he won't let Charles breathe if he doesn't, get past that wrestling. But I think if the fight is finished, it will be Charles Oliveira. Either by submission or knockout. I could see a knockout possibly, but you never know. That knockout against Beneil was pretty dirty from Arman. Charles keys to victory here. He needs to not get comfortable being the bottom guy. I know he fought all these, sort of strikers. Michael Chandler is a somewhat wrestler, but he fought Michael Chandler, he fought Dustin, he fought Justin, and every single time he got knocked down, no one wanted to follow him down in that guard. But when you have someone that is a good enough wrestler and a good enough grappler that follows him down in the guard, especially if it's a wrestler and they have that top pressure, Charles has he has a bad mistake of just sitting in guard and getting comfortable. When against Islam, that's obviously that was not the key. And against Arman in that last fight, that guillotine was super close, but there was a couple times in that fight where he just got too comfortable on the bottom, and Arman would come into his guard, smash his guard down, pound him down within the guard. Sometimes he'd pass, get full mount. It wasn't a great fight. A lot of people tried to make the argument that Charles won that fight. I am the biggest Charles fan you will ever meet. And I don't agree that he won that fight. It was definitely an Arman win. So you never know. I just think Charles here, he really needs to really needs to not be comfortable on his back. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't grapple at all, but he cannot be comfortable in that bottom position like he usually is against strikers. So that is something that needs to change. As far as a stand-up battle, you never know what happens. From what I've seen, Charles, his striking even improves every single fight. his striking is close to, if not on par, with some of the best strikers you could think of in the division. Knocked down Gaethje, submitted him, and then knocked out Michael Chandler. Was beating Michael Chandler on the feet in the most recent fight. And then he didn't really outstrike Poirier, but, he was able to stay in there with him. So I think he does have the edge when it comes to striking, but you'll never know. Hopefully this fight comes to fruition. Now, in other news, for BFH, what is next for Noah the Shoa? That is something that needs to be discussed because there hasn't been much word from Noah in a while after his championship win over Christopher Spizzirri. First time he's been champ in 2 years, so congratulations to him. But also, he did tweet recently. He tweeted out today, "Hello guys, thank you for all the support. The champ is back. However, I will not be fighting in 2025. This is for personal issues that I do not wish to disclose, but I will be back as soon as possible." What could this mean? It could mean a million different things. So I don't want to sit here and predict it because I have no idea. I got no clue into the champ's personal life. But what we do know is he will not be competing in 2025. So what does that mean? What's next? I mean, it's hard to predict what's next when you have a whole year of fights ahead and you don't know who's going to be at the top and who's going to be washed up by the end of it. But if things are going how they've been going, if Christopher stays going, we'll probably see a third match between them by the end of it. There could be a Logan versus Noah fight, although Logan has expressed countless times how much he does not care to go against Noah a third time, even if it is for the title. I think he held that BFH title pretty dominantly, so it's just not much of his concern anymore. I think he's just fighting to have fun. I think he wants names and more diverse fights more than he wants a title at this point. So, we can see what happens with that, but. I think in the end it'll probably be a Chris versus Noah rematch. Chris will probably have a couple fights before that. I'm sure he'll win in dominant fashion. I mean, Noah's good. And who do I think would win in the Noah versus Chris third fight? Noah the Shoa versus Christopher Spizzirri. That is just a hard one. I mean, Christopher dominated in that first fight, and he did great with his offensive wrestling. His striking, some strikes got through. Christopher definitely got hit a few times. He got caught. But, you got to think like how technical and how perfect of a striker Noah the Shoa is. So you can't really blame him for that. Someone that's coming from a long wrestling background and trying to get into the MMA scene, you can't really blame him for that. But his striking improved every fight. I think it improved in their second fight. But Noah did take that victory with an awesome game plan. Now, if you watch Christopher fight, you'll know that he is very bouncy on the feet. He's very energetic. He likes to do these like cartwheels, very flashy kind of guy, very athletic sort of wrestler thing going on. But if you watch him, when he gets ready to go for that takedown, I mean, he kind of telegraphs the whole thing. I mean, you can really see when he's aiming for it. And one thing that you notice is he puts a lot of weight on that front foot. Noah definitely went back, looked at the VOD, he saw that, and he took advantage of it. Noah came in with that second fight throwing loads of calf kicks. I mean, loads of calf kicks. Like, it was bothering Chris in the first round. Besides the calf kicks, though, Noah was basically getting dominated. He didn't land quite as many strikes. And the wrestling was a lot. I mean, he got taken down a lot. So, I mean, you never know how a third matchup could go, but Noah really did stick with those calf kicks, and he trusted in them, and you could see Chris did not like him. He didn't know how to get rid of them, and by the end of that fight, it caused his leg to give out, and Noah was then champ. So, I mean, you never know. It was just a perfectly executed plan from Noah, a good fight IQ plan. I even would beg to differ. Like, you just look at the scorecards from the first fight compared to the second fight. I mean, even less takedowns. It seems he improved his takedown defense. Like, hang on, let me pull up the scorecards here. So, if we go down and look at these scorecards, as you can see, first fight against Chris. Let's just see how this scorecard went out. So there was no knockdowns between either of the two of them. 7 total strikes from Noah. He was not striking enough. The first 2-3 rounds you check, he was just scared of the takedowns. He started getting more active later, and if he did that earlier, he had a chance at winning that fight. He landed way more significant strikes. He doubled Christopher's significant strikes. 7 head strikes, no body. Look at this, no leg strikes, not even from Christopher. So Noah definitely picked up on that and said, I need to work on those leg kicks. I see that he puts weight on that front leg when he gets ready for a takedown. As soon as I see him getting ready for it, I'm going to go. Noah had no control time. Christopher had 169 seconds of control time. 11 takedowns, 0 for Noah. 2 sub attempts, 3 for Chris. So you just look at the scorecard. I mean, even by the decision, yeah, he got dominated. I mean, it wasn't close. 100% unanimous decision. But then you compare it to the second fight. Even if Noah hadn't finished Chris, there was a good chance that that decision should have gone to Noah anyway. Because if you've been watching BFH for a while, you'll know that the whole leg injury, it was called off right away. Like, Christopher finished that fight, but it was because we let him get way too much time. They let him get way too much time on the stool to recover, and it shouldn't have happened. So they reversed the decision, which almost never happens. You have to make a big mistake for something like that to happen. But even if it went to decision, I mean, you got to decide here who actually won this fight, even if it's a decision, even if Noah didn't finish him in the last round. 0 knockdowns, but 23 total strikes to Noah's, 7 in his last fight? 23-9. Significant strikes 10-1. Chris landed 1 significant strike. Almost half of Noah's strikes were considered significant strikes. 11 head, 2 for Chris, 2 headshots for Christopher. Still no body shots for Noah, which is all right. You get to the sub attempts, 5 sub attempts now. He beat Chris in the sub attempts. He beats him in the leg strikes. 9 takedowns, so he defended 2 more. Or actually, he defended a couple this fight. 160 seconds of control time, so a little bit less. But you got to decide here, how much do you value takedowns and control time? Because he beat him on the legs, he beat him in the sub attempts, he beat him in the significant strikes, he beat him in total strikes. I mean, it was a really close decision. It probably would have been split if you actually go back and look at it. So after evaluating this whole thing, I mean, if Noah keeps his game plan going with those kicks, man, and Christopher doesn't adjust, saying this fight happens, it could be bad news. I think Noah's going to go after those calf kicks even harder this time, knowing how well it went. He's going to throw them twice as hard, twice his kick. He's going to set him up better. Noah is an extremely technical striker, probably the most technical striker in the division, even though Logan did land a vicious knockout on him earlier in one of their boxing matches. There's a difference between boxing striking and MMA striking, and Noah's got it. He's a pretty good counter puncher. He's great at, kind of measuring distance. He's gotten better at it, especially since their first fight, but he's gotten a lot better at measuring distance. He's been training his grappling a lot. His grappling defense has gotten a lot better. I don't think there's any world where Christopher submits him now. He just have to pick up another decision on him by riding him out. So, I don't know. You guys got to let me know in the comments what you think about this fight. I mean, who do you got? But wish Noah the Shoa a good recovery with whatever he's dealing with, and hopefully we get to see him back in early 2026. And for the last thing today, we have a possible super fight lingering. I don't want to say possible. I mean, it's definitely possible, but something like this is hard to get done. BFH has never done a collaboration with any other channel, but people from the Warren County Fighting Division have expressed interest in doing some sort of BFH crossover, especially the lead guy, Caleb. He's fought multiple times. He's a nasty striker. And he's expressed, him and Logan same weight class, and he wanted to get that fight done. So this is definitely a fight Logan has, I'm sure would be interested in getting done, because like I said earlier, he's a lot more interested in taking names right now than he is in a title shot. So, who knows? But I think that could be a great match. Even Caleb versus Noah the Shoa, like, that could be an awesome match. But I think in the case right now of Logan versus Caleb, how does a match like that go? Caleb, nasty, great striker. Probably wouldn't be a great idea for Logan to strike with him, unless it was boxing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Logan has some nasty kicks for sure, but I mean, Caleb has proven time in and time out that he's great at using those kicks within the fight. Whereas Logan, when he takes his striking into an MMA fight, he uses some leg kicks, but it's mainly more of a boxing heavy style, I would say. And he uses those boxing shots to kind of set up a takedown and get that finish on the ground. So I mean, it really depends, if Logan plays it smart and he plays it how he's been playing his fights. I mean, it is the perfect matchup for him. I mean, Caleb's a heavy striker, so If he plays his cards how he's been, he should be able to get the takedown and get the finish, I think, within the first or second round. But, I mean, who knows? Caleb could have been working on the grappling. If his takedown defense has gotten really good, it could be a long night for Logan. You never know. But also, I mean, you gotta give Logan the fact that he knocked out Noah the Shoa, one of probably the best striker in the division. And you haven't gotten to see any of Logan's other striking used in MMA. I mean, he's gone against Noah 3 times, submitted him 3 times, very early. So you don't really get to see when Logan is forced to strike. So, you never know. But the only time he was forced to strike was in that boxing match. And what happened? Second round knockout. I mean, it was probably the best BFH knockout of all time. One of the few. So, I mean, you never know. You all got to let me know in the comment section how you think that goes. Go check out Backyard Fight House. Watch some of Logan's fights. Let me know what you think. And then go check out Warren County Fighting Division. Caleb, nasty striker. He's a great guy. So make sure you go check both of them out. But that'll conclude this video. I appreciate y'all from watching. Subscribe for more MMA news, and I'll see you next time.